Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for being here on this, what is it, Thursday night? I guess it's Thursday night. I know I haven't done a live stream in a while. I've been working on a number of videos. I'm sure you've seen some of them. Yeah, I thought I would recap DragonCon for everybody. So first, let me see who is in the chat. So, wow, we've got a number of people here tonight. Let's see, Tim Hayes. Jody's here, Ryan Potter, Mayumi's here, Jason Anderson, George Aiken, David Whitehead, Velvet Embargo, Scott Hughes, Robotimus. There's a lot of people here. All right, so Analog Toys is here. Awesome. All right, Keith Holmesley's here. Okay. So let's talk about oh, good to hear, Nick. Good to hear. Glad to hear you found it. So DragonCon, DragonCon 2024. Now this would be 20 years. This has been 20. Alan Dawson, good to see you, sir. Santara, hey. So it's been 20 years since my first DragonCon, so this will be my this year was my 20th anniversary. Thank you, Jason Anderson. That's very kind of you. Kylie Fund, Tiger Michael, Hambone McGillicuddy, buy more anime. Funny you say that. Thank you, Tim Hayes. Very kind of you to say that, sir. I'm working hard on new videos as we speak. So I've been going since 2004. I'd known about it since the mid 90s, but I was a teenager then. I didn't have my own money. I didn't have my own car. So I first went in 2004, and it won't surprise you all that year I went as Indiana Jones. Now it was a very it's a very different outfit back then. Only had certain pieces that were, pretty decent quality. That's how all costumes work. Hey, Gen X Toys, good to see you, Jody. Looking forward to a good old RetroBlasting Livestream. Well, it's good to see you around. Haven't seen you in a while, so settle in. Hope you have some fun. So after that experience, I had made a decision that I was never going to do Indiana Jones at DragonCon again, because Indiana Jones seems to be the character that a lot of people who just want to go to DragonCon think they can kind of just pull together in a weekend, and they just kind of get some disparate bits here and there. And admittedly, my outfit back then it had some quality pieces in it. But like the shirt and pants and stuff like that weren't quite there yet. I had an above average amount of correct stuff, but not all of it yet. So I put it on moratorium because I was like, well, I'll just focus on other stuff. So every year after that, I would go consistently, and I would get an iteration of my Luke Skywalker outfit, or then the next year I would do Han Solo, and then after that I would do Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly, and then Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly got put on the blacklist with Indiana Jones because there were just so many low rent Malcolm Reynolds walking around DragonCon, and that was frustrating because I had done a stitch for stitch correct Mal Reynolds from the television show, but you just kind of become white noise at that point. So we get into, 2010, 2011. I'm going with Melinda. My outfits have, the quality and accuracy of them has gone up dramatically. Melinda and I did the Empire Strikes Back Han Solo and Princess Leia one year. The next year she did Lara Croft, and I did Ghostbusters and Marty McFly and some others. And she gave me a lot of crap that year because I wouldn't do Indiana Jones, because I was sticking to my principles on that one, which I do regret on a level. But Mike Kavanaugh, thank you. He says, nice to see you back at DragonCon. Oh, cool. I'm glad to know that you were at the first RetroBlasting ones. It's very kind of you to say that. I'm going to get into something about that in a little bit. Yeah, so this was right before Melinda and I started doing presentations. So we started doing presentations at DragonCon in 2014, and we did those all the way through 2018. So 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 5 years. We did those for 5 years in a row on multiple content tracks. And the way that works at DragonCon is there are programming tracks for different themes. So like you have a Star Trek track, a Star Wars track, you have classic sci-fi, you have animation and anime. You have things like all kinds. Skeptics track is one. Back in the day when Joss Whedon's stuff was really popular, there was a Whedon track, but that's now since dissolved because he's no longer like making a lot of stuff anymore. And everything that he did do is now kind of long in the tooth. So they've supplanted that with something else. Yeah, I'm going to get into some of that Shockwave as far as like how I arrived at getting around that. So we we did that for 5 years, and then we decided that we were going to stop doing that. And the reason that we decided that was because we had learned that the track organizers weren't really going to ever level up. They weren't going to start really paying attention to the audience. They were just going to keep doing same old every year. And in the process, we were kind of getting kept. You know how they say when you work at a corporation, like if you're too good at your job, they'll just keep you in that place and they'll never promote you. So that's where we kind of found ourselves. Was we knew how to run the AV, and we knew how to What do you want me to do about that, Roy? It's the same camera from before. Do you have a suggestion? I'd love to know. So anyway, we decided that we were going to move away from that because they were basically just relying on the fact that we were one of the only groups. All right, you know what? We were relying on the other groups. They were relying on us to do the AV, and unfortunately, we knew how to use the AV, and a lot of the other panelists didn't, and they knew that we could. So they started slotting us at times where we would go to dinner, or where they would go to dinner, or they would go to lunch, or they would take a break, and they were just basically letting us have kind of like they were slotting us into the crappiest time slots, even though we were still managing to mainly fill the room, because they knew we could run the audio. Like that was it. They knew we could run audio. So we decided to basically stop doing the presentations, because in all honesty, aside from a few people like Mike Kavanaugh here, who was kind enough to get connected with us after he saw our presentations and subscribed to the YouTube channel, it was a law of diminishing returns. It was a lot of work every year. It was a lot of work every year for very little return back to the main channel. So we just decided that it wasn't worth the loss of many, many, many days of creating content for all of you. And so we backed out of it. Now, that's not to say that we don't want to ever come back. So I was approached by a number of people this year who were very nice. They were all very nice. And they were all asking if we would ever come back and do more presentations one day, because they really looked forward to seeing us on the schedule, because we actually care about the audience. Like, that's what we care about. So we're not there to just sit up there and pontificate about the nuances of Spider-Man comics and not really care if there are people in the chairs or not. So I would love to come back one day and do more of that. But, you know, as of right now, I mean, sure, I really would. I would be happy to do presentations at other shows. I really would. But at this moment, I don't know. I'm trying to get this light to work here. At this moment, I don't know what those presentations would be. I don't know where they are. I don't know I don't know what the application process would be, and how people get involved in those, if that makes any sense. So yes, I would love to still do presentations at shows and events. But I want to make sure that it's not throwing good effort after bad. That's the real trick. So anyway, so this year there'd been kind of a hiatus, because my last attendance for a long time was 2019. And then after that, we went to England for 2 weeks, and then the pandemic happened, and we did a panel. Even though we didn't present in 2019, we did a panel for the virtual 2020 convention, which did very, very, very well. And yet DragonCon didn't seem to really care. And when I say very well, you had to put it on their channel. It's not like you ran a DragonCon panel on your channel. You had to submit the video to their channel, pre-recorded. And it did very, very well in the stats, but it didn't make a dent with the DragonCon organizers. So we turned around and decided, well, maybe this isn't worth it. Also, we don't know how long this lockdown is going to go on. So 2021 happens. There's sort of a light reopening of the event, and we're like, nah, we'll pass. 2022 happens, and we're like, nah. 2023, last year, Sal from 2 Cents Toys wanted to go, and so he flew down, and he'd never been before, and we went on Sunday. And I wasn't around on YouTube, but like I said, I've been around at DragonCon since 2004. So the year you were there in 2010, that was when Melinda and I were doing Han Solo and Princess Leia. So we were there, and we were having fun too. Thanks, David. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, sir. Very kind. Do you think you should do classes on presentation and the technical part of doing one? I mean, if there's anyone who wants to know that kind of information, a lot of people just want to get up there and just BS. It's weird. They don't really want to prep very much, and they just want to BS. Like I said earlier, I started doing the panels in 2014. I said that a few minutes ago. So I decided to go back because Sal was coming down last year for one day. We were going to go for one day. So we went in on Sunday. And I broke another rule at that point. I said, I'm just hanging out with my friend Sal. I'm going to just do Indiana Jones for the first time since 2004. And I had all the stuff, and I put it all together. And thank you, Kelly. Yeah, feel free to send us an email at retroblasting@gmail.com. That'd be great. Well, Shockwave, I mean, DragonCon is the biggest, it's the biggest convention in the southeastern United States. So depending on what, and it goes for almost a full week. So whatever, it all depends on what you want out of a convention. There are plenty of celebrities there. There's huge autograph signing. There's all these different programming tracks. There's a lot of lines if you stand in them. There's tons of costumes. It's a 24/7 party going on across 5 hotels in downtown Atlanta. I mean, it's an event. So I went back for one day and I decided with Sal, and I decided that I was going to do Indiana Jones, and I did. And I decided that I was gonna I had to shave it off after DragonCon because it was now like a 9-day shadow. So I shaved it this morning. So we got there. I pulled out all my Indiana Jones stuff because I wanted to be comfortable, and I zhuzhed it up, as one would say. I zhuzhed it up with the monkey. I got a plush capuchin monkey. Melinda made a vest, and it was a big hit. And suddenly I was like, well, between the fact that I'm now head to toe accurate with all of my clothing and stuff for it, and people love plush companions at DragonCon, they just do. I thought, maybe Indiana Jones, it's not so much that there's so many of them walking around, it's that they're all walking around and none of them are doing anything to activate the outfit. So I thought, well, I will just start doing Indiana Jones next year, because Sal wanted to come back and do the 3 main days. He wanted to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Well, you're gonna have to define that, brats. Like, when you say D&D, do you mean are there people playing the game? Yes. Do you mean are there costumes? Yes. Or are you referring to Delicious in Dungeon? Like, are you saying Dungeons and Dragons, Delicious in Dungeon? I need specificity. But yeah, so this year I decided that what I was going to do was do 3 variations, because I have enough Indiana Jones base clothing, like actual accurate shirts and pants and stuff like that, trousers, that I can change my clothes up every day so I don't end up smelling really bad, but I can still do Indiana Jones every day. And as part of that, so like last year, like I said, I did this, I did the what I call the Cairo Indiana Jones. So I had, let's see if I have it right here. Let's see if I can pull this up. So this was me with the finished monkey before we left for DragonCon last year. And again, like I said, it went over really, really well. Everybody really loved it. So I decided I would bring that back this year. But what I also wanted to do, thanks, Cute Fluff. Yeah, I'll be posting some photos in a second. Top ideal guests. Look, everybody knows, I've made it very clear. The only guest I ever want to meet, if I did my own event, is Kylie Minogue. That's who I want. I want Kylie Minogue to be my guest of honor. Anything else would be bonus. That's my only requirement. So this year, I said I'm going to do 3 days of Raiders. So I'm going to do, I'll bring back Cairo on Saturday. I'll do it in chronological order. So it would be idol grab, the idol and the sandbag and all that, with a big like spider on my back on Friday. Saturday I do monkey on my shoulder with no jacket, and then Sunday I do Well of Souls, which is the gloves, a cobra, and the torch. So I got all that together and I worked on it. I was working on it in the background over the past year. It took a little doing, but I did manage to I made the torch myself. I had to do a lot of homework with screenshots and whatnot to get it correct. And then I added this LED lighting effect to it so that it would, look the part. It would look like one of the torches, excuse me, from Raiders. God Tank. So first of all, I mentioned 3 versions of Indiana Jones from Raiders. So where is your no Temple of Doom, no Last Crusade, no Dial of Destiny? You picked one out of the air randomly because you didn't hear what I said. And also, I only went for 3 days. So even if I did 3 movies over 3 days, I would do Raiders, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade if I wasn't doing variations. So there'd be no time to get to Crystal Skull. So anyway, I got that done and I got ready for the first day. And we went and the first day we decided what we were going to do is the vendor hall, because the vendor hall has this massive line around it. It's this huge building called America Mart in downtown Atlanta. It's multiple levels. And we just needed to knock that out. So we went God Tank. I defended Crystal Skull immensely on my Indiana Jones 5 review, which you should watch. And yes, it's 4 hours long, but if you're a Crystal Skull guy, you probably need to watch it. So just saying. So we got there the first day, and we went through the vendor hall. And Jason, I can't remember, was it you that just mentioned earlier about buying anime? I never find anything in the vendor hall to buy. It's like a run-on joke that the vendor hall at DragonCon is huge, and there's never anything to buy. So I was walking around, and I couldn't believe, out of all things, I found something to buy. And I had to blink at first because I thought that I'd only found one of the 2 items that I'd given up on eBay. I had given up because I thought that they were always just going to be way too expensive and I was never going to find them. But a seller had them for the correct, reasonable price. And I was able to get the Steelbook editions of Konosuba 1 and 2, seasons 1 and 2, from a really, really great seller there at the show. And these are Steelbooks, so these are authentic. These are not like bootlegs. These are the authentic Steelbook releases. So I was really thrilled because not only did I finally find something after 20 years in the vendor hall to buy, but it was something where I was actually getting a really good deal. And they're brand new. They're not secondhand. They're brand new sealed. So I couldn't have been happier with that. That was a first at DragonCon. And then we, started walking around and seeing what was going on. So I ran into, as always, I'm looking out for characters that I like. Now the big trends this year at DragonCon, as far as costumes went, one of them was Jurassic Park. I'd never thought that I would be at a DragonCon where the Alan Grants outnumbered the Indiana Joneses. And Alan Grant seems to be the new Indiana Jones for DragonCon because everybody feels like they can just throw something together and they're Alan Grant. Now, there were a lot of indies there this year, but the Jurassic Park contingent dwarfed that like crazy. I was really blown away by the presence of Jurassic Park. Well, it seems like it was pretty even the first like 2 days between the big spider on my back with the idol and the monkey and the whiskey bottle. The third day though, I got a lot of attention because I had that torch with the snake. So probably the third one. You saw it? Because here you just said 4 hours. So does that mean you saw the thumbnail or you saw the video? You're a confusing dude, God Tank. I gotta say, like you're like the social media comment section equivalent of speed dating, and it's kind of messing with my head. So we were walking around and I was trying to get a sense. You get a sense every year for what's like trendy, and meaning in the costume department. And so I was seeing a lot of Jurassic Park. We saw a lot of Delicious in Dungeon and Freerun. I saw a lot of Freerun, which was great. Like I was glad to see that those were getting a lot of love. Of course, you see your Star Trek stuff. As far as Star Wars goes, though, that was where it got interesting because Star Wars, for both original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and yes, sequel trilogy, it was almost nil. I saw when you'd see one from one of those here and there, you'd point it out to yourself because you're like, oh, because it was so hard to come by. But there were a metric ton of Mandalorians. And I don't mean just what's his face from the show Mandalorian. I mean, there were all these different variants, both custom and specific to the various films and TV shows, like, Sabine Wren or whatever it was, and Boba Fett in various incarnations, and then a lot of Mandos from Mandalorian with Grogu or whatever. But there were also just a lot of different wildly colored Mandalorians, different armor, all that kind of stuff. That was very prevalent. So I took note of that. But you always keep your eye out for what you like. And my stuff ended up being pretty niche. Like, I saw one person costuming as the Shadow, which I thought was really awesome. I was glad I saw that over the weekend. And when I mention a costume to you, I'm referring to somebody who did a really good job. So I feel like it was worth mentioning. So there was a really good Shadow that I saw, a really, really good Huntress and the Question couples costume. And they did a really amazing job on their outfits. And they clearly put a lot of work into themselves as well, because they were built properly for those outfits, if that makes any sense. Let's see here. If there was one character you'd want as a good 375-inch custom, make me Kylie Minogue from Street Fighter when she played Cammy. If you can pull that off, that'd be pretty awesome. Oh, thank you, Ronnie. I appreciate you saying that. So we were walking around and we were moving between the different. Oh, Adam, I can't wait to see what you come up with. We were walking around and I happened upon. Well, I'll just show you. Let me just pull up the photo here. I happened upon these two lovely ladies who were costuming as Lara Croft and 1996 original PC style Lara Croft. And what I think they were doing is they were doing the remastered Lara from the remastered game launch a few months ago next to her original counterpart, which I thought was brilliant. I was just like, oh my God. And I ran them down. I turned around in the Skyway, ran them down, and got this photo as fast as I could, because you don't want to block the hallways. But I got this photo with them. It was so cool to see the two of them like that. So the first day overall was interesting. There was one encounter that I had that I've brought show and tell for. It was the evening in the Marriott, and you know, the nightlife was starting. And there I was with my idol and my spider and all that kind of stuff. And this guy walked up. I'm pretty sure this was Friday. I don't think it was it Saturday? No, this had to be Friday. This is Friday. So I'm sitting there. Sorry, I'm walking. I'm walking here. And I'm weaving through the crowd. Gen X Toys Geek, thank you for the super chat. He says, how important is costume accuracy with these cons? Gathering a Ghostbusters costume myself, but a proper proton pack is out of my budget, so better go without pack or a cheap and accurate one. There's a wide latitude of accuracy at these events. You're supposed to just have fun, be social, and enjoy the night, and enjoy the day life and the night life, and just enjoy the whole thing. Nobody's going to dog on you. It's not like that. So whatever you want to do, it's fine. I have not seen any Danger Girl cosplayers at DragonCon in a really long time. I think I saw Gen 13 this year. One person doing Gen 13, possibly. But she could have been another character. Holy crap. Tony. You didn't have to do that, sir. You didn't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I really, really, really appreciate that. Holy hell. Michael, I would like to congratulate you on the success of your Indiana Jones 5 mega review. It is a phenomenal piece of work, and one that I've watched many, many times. To me, it is the gold standard of YouTube reviews, and the quality of your work consistently inspires me. Well, thank you, Tony. And by the way, specific to that, sir, I watched your latest video that's coming out. I can't keep the Australian time zone straight. It's either already been made public or it's going to be made public soon. But I watched it all the way through this morning. It's such a substantive piece of work. It's really good. Such great information that's never really been out there before. Highly recommend everybody watch Tony's next big video on analog toys. Should be out either now, soon, or within the next few hours. But it's totally worth it. Totally, totally worth watching. And Tony, thank you so much for the very kind super chat. You've blown me away. Well, Alex, you might be surprised about that. I've got some photos to show here in a little bit. I love it here too, Ra, and I love it when you're here. I was walking by on the top level. I say top level, the top lobby level of the Marriott, trying to get to the back to go down a set of stairs, and a gentleman walked by me in the other direction, dressed as Sean Connery from Last Crusade. And I mean, it was the best Sean Connery as far as the accuracy of the outfit I saw all weekend, because he didn't just have the tweed suit and the hat and the beard and the glasses and stuff. He also had the full leather bag with the umbrella. So he had the accessory props, which is what really I feel takes an Indiana Jones costume to the next level, is finding those hand props that activate the outfit. So he stopped and he said, oh, that's very kind, Chronically. Thank you so much for saying that. It's very kind of you, sir. So he stopped and he said, Junior. And I laughed and I said, hey, Dad, like that. And he said, I have something for you. And I was thinking, he just randomly stopped while walking by me. He doesn't know me. I don't know him. And he's got something for me. And he tucked his umbrella, pulled it out from the bag and tucked it under his arm and opened up that leather bag. And he handed me this. And he said, I need to give this to you. Keep it as far away from German hands as possible. And I'm like, I thought I was going to have to hand it back. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And then he took off. Like he literally waved and left with this in my hand. And I was like, so I could tell at first that this was not, it wasn't like as accurate in as far as the envelope and anything and everything, to the one that Prime Syndicate made for me a few years ago that he blew me away with. That's on display up in my display cases in the living room. But I thought, okay, he's done something here. There's a gimmick going on here. So Sal and I were headed to a panel at that point. We were on our way to a panel when this happened. And it was a panel it was on the anime track, and it was about anime movies that never were, or something like that. It ended up being like, it was okay. No, Alan, I made sure when he handed it to me, it felt like a book inside. There was no noise coming from it or anything. So we get to the panel, we sit down in the back row, and I decide that I'm going to just satiate my curiosity. So I open this thing up very carefully, and it was I have to give the guy credit. Not only was his outfit right on the money, he had the voice down. He clearly just thought on his feet as fast as he could and just, exuberantly gave this to me with no residual fanfare, no superfluous anything. He stayed in character. And I open it up. Now it had this on the back. It's like a card that's fitted on the back of the grail of the rubbing of the tablet and the shield. Inside, like I said, I got all credit to this guy. Inside this is a brown leather bound Holy Bible. And in the Bible are all of these, he put all these postcards inside that are copying certain artworks and pages from the Grail Diary. And with one of the pages that was stuck in the Bible, he had made sure it was stuck in the page where he highlighted the passage, something, and God sent his only son to save us or whatever. I can't remember the exact phrase, but this was the smoothest Bible, like, pass on the word of the Lord handoff ever. Like, and again, he may have just been using these Bibles because they're probably something he was able to get pretty easily, but it was the highlight in the page that made me go, wait a second, maybe this guy is the smartest religious missionary ever. Maybe yeah, exactly, Jason. I was like, that's what I thought. I was like, the Gideons really up their game. I immediately thought of that. And I gotta say, I'm keeping this forever. Like, it's one of the coolest moments that ever happened to me at DragonCon in 20 years. But the end result also made me realize how smooth this guy was. Like, it was sharp. So that was a cool moment. Jason, thank you for the super chat. He says, I too have watched your Indy 5 review many times. Thank you. I can't match Tony's generosity, but congrats. Great content. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Phantoms, thank you for the super chat. He says, I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. Let my army be the rocks and the trees and the birds in the sky. All right. I hope so. I hope they are. I hope Acolyte toys die in a bathroom in a bad neighborhood. Cute Fluff, he did. He stopped me in my tracks. He was like, Junior. And I'm like, Dad. Like, and we had a good laugh. And he played it off, and yeah, it was really, really cool. It was really cool, Zantara. Really, really cool. Spreading the word to the godless heathen cosplayers. But see, that was the coolest thing about this was because he didn't once like try and like proselytize or anything, or he never telegraphed what was going on. He was in character, and I was off guard because of course I'm in a character from the same franchise, and he's just like, here's the handoff, and then he's like, watch out for those Germans, and I'm like, what the? Oh, it was so good. I didn't know there was one. Didn't know there was a pre-order. I'll check it out. It was, Kaz. It was. I give the guy all. Well, he gave me props, but I'll give him all props. Like, it was really, really good. My old colleague Sean was performing down there. If a tall wizard-looking chap came up to you and said, "Keep fighting the good fight," I asked him to. Did he? I feel like somebody did say that to me, but I don't think they were in a wizard outfit. Maybe there was a day where he wasn't in his wizard outfit. Possible. Yeah, exactly, Jason. That'd have been good. That'd have been really good. Okay, so we did this panel that had good information in it, but the panel was kind of weak overall. So the next day we come back. So that's Saturday. So Saturday I'm doing indie with the monkey, and I have the whiskey bottle. Now, I don't have any good photos of it from this year because I added the replica of the whiskey bottle from the Cairo scene for this year to have something in my hand. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, because a lot of people, if you don't know much about DragonCon, there's a lot of drinking that goes on, especially some people sneak it throughout the day, but it really kicks up when the sun goes down. So see, that's what I was wondering, Mike. I thought that too. I wondered how many of those he had in that bag, because it was a big leather, accurate Sean Connery, Henry Jones style, case. He could have had a ton of them in there. So I had put about, I'd say, a fifth of the bottle filled with just unsweetened iced tea, because then I put the cork in it, because I wasn't going to walk around with open container, and I wasn't interested in drinking because I drove there every day. I wasn't staying at the hotel, and I just didn't want to get in trouble with anybody either. So I just had, iced tea in there that had warmed up, and it just had the general color of whiskey, and it was only like that much in the bottle. So most of the references that I got from people who were they love the monkey, as George Michaels lamented. I'll show you a picture of it from last year. So this is a picture of the outfit from last year. I'll just bring this up here. So there I am from last year with the monkey and sort of the Cairo look. If you can visualize that whiskey bottle in my free hand, that's what I was dressed as on Saturday. So most people at the show who saw me, you'd say that runs with Phantoms, but back in 2004, there were guys walking around as Africa Corps, and somewhere there exists a photo of me doing we're both punching one another from the 2004 DragonCon. I don't know whatever happened to those photos, because they were taken by a friend of mine that went with me. I've never seen a photo, the photo of that moment. But back in 2004, there were people showing up there like that. Good question. I think think it was probably the Bible thing, to be completely honest, because I think even though John Rhys Davies is able to really roll with it, he's a seasoned performer. I think at first I threw him off just for a second. He wasn't mad about it or anything, but it took him a second to reset because nobody really walks up to him to talk to him about Living Daylights. But no, it was still a wonderful interaction with John Rhys Davies. I have no regrets on that score. But yeah, I would have to say that the interaction with this particular Henry Jones was pretty impressive. That would be Raiders of the Lost Ark. So anyway, so we were walking around, and a lot of people thought that I was just carrying around liquor, because it's not uncommon at DragonCon for people to do that. They didn't realize it was an actual replicated label on a replica bottle in glass with, of the whiskey bottle from the scene. They have no idea. They thought that I was just doing what a lot of people at DragonCon do, which was have a companion flask with me of some kind so that I can keep getting hits throughout the day, which was pretty funny in its own right. Well, fortunately, in this particular case, this guy was dressed up exactly like all the German soldiers were in Raiders. The ones that were in the back of the truck, the ones that were in the troop car, all those guys. He was identical to those guys. My dream costume. I've been fortunate in that I've really been able to realize all of mine. I don't ask for much when it comes to costumes. Like, I don't do helmets and I don't do masks. Not because I don't like the characters, just because I don't want a costume that way. So I'm pretty happy with where I've been with that. I mean, if you really wanted my dream costume thing, like where I could shoot the moon, I would love to just do Timothy Dalton from the Living Daylights, but it would be with the Aston Martin. I would be with the Aston. I would drive the Aston Martin in a parade or something. That would be awesome. Well, Kaz, I've got some stuff to show you about that coming up, so you'll find this pretty interesting, I think. So overall, it was a good day, and I feel like there was something that I'm forgetting to tell you about Saturday, but I don't think so. Saturday, oh yeah, I am forgetting one thing. Saturday, we went to a panel. It was a big celebrity panel for the voice cast of Baldur's Gate 3. Sal had wanted to go to that and see it. Fun panel. Too many fans doing the whole. Well, Keith, I would do that, but you cornered the market on that years ago. I can't compete with you on that outfit. You're the perfect goofy weirdo. So I mean, what am I going to do now? I can't do it. You snaked it out from under all of us. So the one problem with celebrity panels at DragonCon is that there's a lot of fans who just get up there and they're like, what's your favorite fill in the blank? What's your favorite character that's not you? What's your favorite this? What's your favorite that? It gets really old. Movie Oubliette is here. Oh, you're an amazing thespian. I imagine you could. I believe it. So yeah, apparently I can also pull off generic white guy with brown hair action figures too as costumes. Apparently I look like every brown-haired white guy action figure ever made, according to the last few years of the audience. Okay, so whoa, Chad, thank you for the super chat. He says, perfect goofy weirdo. My second life goal after 2-hour chat, dude, bro. Fortunately, both of these goals are attainable to all of us. It just all depends on how much dignity we're willing to give up. Hey, Killamagwai. So aside from the lame questions, the panelists were all very, talented and charismatic and all that kind of stuff. It was a little weird that two of them were in a relationship and couldn't keep their hands off one another the whole time up there on the stage. That was a little like, come on, guys, be more professional. But that was fine. We stayed, fairly late. We kept leaving every night around 9 because we had to get back home by 10 so that we could get showers and get to bed before we had to wake up at 6:30 the next morning so that we could get back out there before 8 a.m. to get another parking space. So it was kind of a rough leapfrog. All right, so Friday was the day where I kind of break out all the stops. Oh, before I forget, I ran into a good friend on Friday. Sorry, Sundays when I break out all the stops. Friday, I forgot to tell you that I ran into a great friend and supporter of the channel, BJ. I ran into him in the autograph hall, and I'll pull up his. We got a photo together that he took. So here's BJ doing his. He does a lot of GI Joe costuming. But in that moment, and he does multiple costumes a day, but in that moment he was doing Gambit. So we got a good photo together, which was a really great reference because, man, boy, did Ad Vintage nail that hat. That hat just looks amazing. So I was really glad to run into him. All right, so now we're on to Sunday. Sunday was the big day. Let's see. Bruce, thank you for the super chat. He says, I've missed seeing you live stream for over 2 years. How have you missed seeing me live stream for over 2? Are you saying you've missed them? Because I've been live streaming regularly. I just want to make sure that I'm not misreading your sentence, because I haven't been not live streaming for 2 years. I hope you've been well. Do you feel like DragonCon has improved? Not as far as the programming tracks go. They have not improved. Programming tracks are still very, very lame. They're still like very hit and miss, very low effort. Some of them are good. Like on Sunday, the day I'm about to describe, we went to a Godzilla panel that was very good. But they're so few and far between. Most of the time, you're just getting a seat in an air-conditioned room for an hour and then just watching something really lame. In fact, it was either Friday or Saturday night. I want to say it was Saturday night. We went to an anime trivia contest that was rather slipshod. It was rather the organization wasn't great. So Sal and I didn't even bother to compete. We just sat in the back and personally tried to answer all the questions ourselves. So that was fun enough, but it's too bad this stuff isn't better organized. The best organized con I've ever been to, Kaz, was Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle. The best con I've ever been to probably was when Melinda and I went in 2010 as Han and Leia. There are a lot of good memories there. So, yeah, but I hope to make more good memories in the future. It's not over yet. Well, again, yeah, but again, hey, wanted to check out the landscape, right? Didn't want to be, completely disingenuous. No, they do allow replica firearms as long as they're inert and don't shoot anything. And even with those, you have to have an orange tip, and you have to have a brightly colored zip tie holding the trigger back. And they will check you for that. Which is why I love the Indiana Jones outfit, because you've got a flapped holster. So you can just leave it empty and your costume is still visibly correct. And then I love it when they come up to me and try and, tell me to show them what's in the holster so they can zip tie something, because they love to walk around and zip tie stuff. And I always open up the holster and go, I don't got anything in there. And then there's like this look of disappointment on their face because they don't get to do their little job, because I didn't bring anything for them to futz with. Now, that being said, I have it at home. And I definitely couldn't take it to DragonCon, if you know what I mean. I'll let you read between the lines on that. But it lives in the holster otherwise. What can I describe as the perfect con? Well, I mean, there is, I don't know if that's possible. The perfect con would be very well run, substantive presentations and panels, which Emerald City did a good job of. Emerald City Comic Con really did it up well in that regard. But beyond that, it would be good crowd mitigation, good organization, and showing people where to go and line up. DragonCon can fail at that a little bit. It's not anywhere near as bad as MomoCon was, which is the big anime show here in June. So MomoCon, it was the worst for that. DragonCon is a lot better, but it still could be better, if that makes sense. Yeah, he means convention. I haven't watched that one yet, Jody. So yeah, there was this guy Bushman that came up to me on Sunday, and he did the thing where he was like, Phantom, that's from Temple of Doom. That's not Last Crusade, that's Temple of Doom. Last Crusade is when he's out of ammo. Big difference. So let's see, where there you go. So I was standing there on Sunday and waiting for Sal to get back from something he was doing, and I was in the lower level of the Hyatt, and this guy comes up to me. He's got a staff t-shirt on. I'm like, okay, here we go. This is going to be like the third time this weekend or fourth time that somebody's going to screen me and try and check me for, you know, dangerous stuff. And he said, do you have anything in that holster that needs to be peace bonded? Which I hate that phrase. And I was like, hell no. I literally said, hell no. And I opened the flap up and showed him. And he's like, oh, okay. What about that whip there? Well, my whip is not only an expensive, authentic Indiana Jones whip, like it's the real deal, as you've probably seen from the video at the end where I, and I have multiples, but this is my Raiders accurate one. It's a very, very expensive item. And I have it double wrapped on the belt. In other words, I have a special belt with a longer whip strap for it that double loops around it before there's like and it is like a luggage and like a one-way industrial strength snap. It's like a snap that snaps and then you really press it and it locks, because you don't want that thing falling off and hitting concrete or, you know, something like that where it can get scuffed up. But what you also really don't want somebody doing to an item like that is cinching a zip tie around it, because not only can that damage the plaiting by compressing everything artificially, but then when you get home, you've got to figure out a way to get it off the whip. And that involves blades, and you don't want blades near expensive plaited leather. So I looked at the guy and I said, I said, this is permanently attached to this belt. I said, it's here for the accuracy of the character. And I said, I would be doing myself no favors in protecting it by taking it off my belt for any reason. I said, it's 10 feet long and we're literally shoulder to shoulder with people in here. There's nothing I could do with this thing anyway. And this guy didn't know shit from Shinola. He didn't know anything. So he goes, well, you know, maybe somebody would feel like they should start doing this over their head. And I'm like, with a 10-foot double layered, legit bullwhip, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, and I didn't say it to him that way, but I said, no, I said, I've been coming to DragonCon since 2004. I've never seen anybody do anything like that. And I've seen people throw ice buckets and furniture off the higher balconies of the Marriott down below. I've been there for those years. I've seen some crazy stuff, but I ain't never seen somebody pull a bullwhip out and start hitting people with it. All right? Don't put ideas in people's heads. He was like, all right, fair enough, fair enough. He walked off. Fool. Bureaucratic fool. Analog Toys, thank you for the very kind super chat, which you are super chatted out, sir, but I love you to death, Tony. He says, my accountant told me that super chats are tax deductible, so dinner is on me. You are too kind, sir. You are too kind. Well, yeah, that's the funny thing, Trash Picture. Like, where was that going to happen? Like, there was no room for that to occur. Like, there's this really hilarious comic. It's like some third party did this comic, this web comic one time where Indiana Jones is like got the whip back and the guy just walks right up to him and gets nose to nose with him. And Indy's like, can you step back so I can hit you with this? Like, you need a lot of room to use a bullwhip. And one, if let's say you're a psychopath, you're not going to be able to really hurt anybody with a bullwhip fast enough in a condition like that. Two, when you're not a psychopath and you paid a lot of money for something like that, and you're just having it there to complete your outfit accurately for DragonCon, you're not going to risk it. Now, there are a lot of people, and you'll see a photo in a minute I'm going to show you. They show up with really cheap chintzy whips for their Indiana Jones costumes. Well, I don't roll that way. So I have extra incentive to not want people getting up in my business. So thank you, Christopher. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. That's funny, Eric. That's funny. Good one, Kaz. Tonight on Action News, lunatic tries to use 10-foot bullwhip in a crowded nerd convention, hits light fixture, cry. Yeah, exactly. David, thank you for the super chat. I didn't get a chance to buy you a drink at DragonCon, so here's one on me. Well, I appreciate that, sir. If you're at Joe Lanta later this month, I hope to see you there. Maybe we can finally have that drink. Right, Rob? Right? God. Oh, he was. He was. I've thought about next year just kind of like pushing the limits of it all and just deciding to go as Indy from the moment after he dispatches all those Nazis in the castle in front of his dad. So if I do it, I'm going to go with like a replica MP40, but I will already have pre-zip tied it. So there's nothing they can do, I thought that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, exactly, Alex. It would be a total hindrance. You know what? It would deserve getting zip tied. It would. Yeah, that was the other weird thing. That whole scene was just bad. Yeah, with the light when it lights up and everything, that'd be pretty funny. Yeah, I was thinking about that, Eric. I was gonna do that. I was thinking about if I do that, I'll have that, and I'll have of course, the tie and the journal in my pocket. And then what I would do is, I would also change up the accessories to make it correct for Last Crusade, all the subtle differences. And then I would rig up a thing where I would go to this effort, kind of like with the torch, where I would mount a comic book voice bubble, like printed in Indiana Jones orange and yellow font, the Indiana Jones font. I would have it printed hovering over my head on like a stick the whole time that says, "Don't call me Junior." And I just walk around like that with this MP40. I think that would be hilarious. That's how you activate a costume at DragonCon that's not a masked, helmeted superhero or something. Like, that's how you activate that. You find something where people haven't seen it before done that way, and it triggers their memory, and it's a memory that most people know really well when they see it. And then they're like, "Oh my gosh," which is exactly the way it happened and unfurled with the monkey, with the torch and the snake, all that kind of stuff. Well, I could just take the trigger out of it for sure. That would be really hilarious, Alan. I'd be totally willing to do that. That would be awesome. And I bet you what they do, they just zip tie the grip at the top. They'd be like, "Well, we got to put a zip tie on it somewhere to say we did it." And that same drunk guy will walk up to you and ask you who you are. Yep, that was on Sunday night. So on Sunday, an MP40 cosplay. Are you saying do an outfit that where you're just an MP40 with arms and legs? Because that would be hilarious. I mean, I went to Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, so I'm not opposed to going to a faraway convention. No. Oh, nice. That's cool, Samuel. As a matter of fact, Keith, you're right. They didn't. There was a really, really good Batman Returns Catwoman there this year. And her whip was out and she was posing with it and stuff. It's a huge double standard. Okay, so I'm getting my thoughts together about Sunday. So Sunday, the first big thing that we had to do when we got there, I had been told that on Sunday there was this group shot, this group folder that was going to be happening, or this group photo that was going to be taken. And I actually said to him, Rob, I said, I'm Crocodile Dundee. I did say that to him, and then I'll tell you the rest of the story in a minute. But and I have the Alan Quartermain hat. If anybody could even recognize Alan Quartermain, I could do that outfit, but I've never seen the point. I just loved the hat and bought it. Had to have it made. So we get there for Sunday, and the first thing I have to do is go to this place behind the Hilton where they have all these stairs where big themed groups of costumers get their photos taken in groups throughout the weekend, and it's all scheduled. So I'd been told the last 2 days that there was this Relic Hunters group theme that was going to get all their photos taken at 1:00 on Sunday. And they kept telling me, "You got to be there. You got to be there. You look great. You got to be there." Well, I'd heard about over the years, every year there's a Marvel group shot, or all the Spider-Men, or all the Batmen, or all the Batman themed characters, or all the Ghostbusters, or you get the gist. All the Star Trek people, big anime groups that show up for specific anime, they get all their photos taken in one big group. And that's a really good idea. I like the way you think. Now, I have known about these photo shoots, but I'd never actually done one. So I was like, well, all right, I'll go. It's fine. And they were telling me this on the days when I didn't have the torch and the snake and stuff. I had all the other stuff. So, I was like, wonder how that'll go over or whatever. So I get there, 1:00. It's outside behind the Hilton. It's really hot. Like, it was a really hot weekend. I was back in the jacket. So that was what it was. And I thought I was going to be standing. I had this misconception I was going to be, standing amongst a bunch of people that were going to be like, to the nines with their outfits and stuff. They were all very nice people. Don't get me wrong. It was great to see all the costumes. So the first group was relic hunters, which means not just Indiana Jones. It means Tomb Raider. It means The Mummy. It means Uncharted. And so this was the group shot that took place. You can see me on the very, very back top step because I've got the torch in my hand. So that was the first. That was kind of the first photo that was taken. Pretty Rom there. Really admired his effort. You got a Ravenwood Bar Marion in there, which is good. You got your Uncharted guys in there along with your Mummy. The Mummy was pretty popular this year. There's a lot of people doing the Mummy. Various characters, like whole groups and stuff. It was pretty good. And then, of course, you have your Lara Croft standing off to the right. And she's doing a Lara Croft that's really from the 90s comics. The actual Lara in the classic outfit did not have a bare midriff. So I wasn't really sure what was going on there. But that was like the whole Relic Hunters group. And then what they do is they get the shots, and then they bring you back down and they say, okay, now we're just going to do themes. So we're going to do like oh yeah, there were a lot of Beetlejuice cosplayers, Keith. There were a lot of Beetlejuice cosplayers. So so they decided that they were going to do Indiana Jones first. So they're going to do all the Indiana Jones. Now, before I show you that photo, I'll show you the photo close up of me standing next to the guy who did Belloc. So this guy did a really good Belloc. He had the watch with him. He also had the idol for some reason, which I guess was his way of trying to activate his outfit, since it was really a Panama hat and a suit. But the funny part was I had actually met him at a distance on Friday night, because I was standing there with the idol under my hand or under my arm, and looking over the railing of the Marriott, watching the escalators go up and down with all these different costumes. And I saw that guy as Belloc going up on Friday, up the escalator. And as he was going up the escalator, he looked in my direction. We were long way away from one another. Like, these hotels are big. And he looked in my direction. He pointed right at me. And so I turned around and I pointed right back at him, you know. Well, the next day when I was doing the thing with the monkey, this guy comes up. I was doing the Cairo Indie. This guy comes up to me in street clothes with a mask on. And he says, oh my God, you look amazing. He goes, I wish I'd run into you yesterday. He said, I was Belloc from that scene. And I was like, oh, I said, that's awesome. I said, are you going to be doing it again? Because he was like, I'm so bummed because you were literally the scene. You got the whiskey bottle, you got the monkey, like, oh my God, we could have gotten photos together. I said, well, don't worry. I said, I've still got an outfit for tomorrow that's totally relevant to your version of Belloc. He goes, what is it? I said, Well of Souls. I'm doing the torch and the gloves and he was like, oh yes, that's great. And I said, now, were you doing Belloc on Friday? He goes, yeah. I said, and did you go up an escalator and point? And he goes, was that? And I went, yeah, that was me. He goes, I couldn't believe you saw me and pointed back. I'm like, look how I'm dressed. I'm like, I'll see you. Like, you know, I'm looking for this stuff. So we had a good interaction. So he and I stood there at the top and got our photos together for that first one. So then everything gets pulled down. Everybody comes off the stairs, and then they say, okay, now we're going to do just the Indiana Jones characters. So then this photo gets taken. And by that point, I don't think he was in the last shot. If he was, I didn't see him because people were like milling in and out. It was very chaotic. So now this time there's a guy as Short Round in there. So you'll see different people, even though this was just a few seconds later. So this is all the indies, along with some of their related characters. And as you can kind of tell right away, there is a very big latitude where the Indiana Joneses are concerned as to how they configure their outfits and what pieces they're using and all that jazz. As an example, you've got a guy in the front row who's doing Cairo Indiana Jones, but he's holding the idol in his hand, and he doesn't even really have an Indiana Jones hat on. So my point in saying that is people show up just dressed as whatever to DragonCon, doing the best they can. Some of them do it up like I did, and some of them are in process with their outfits, and some of them are just there to have a fun weekend and drink. I don't know. It's I haven't quite figured it out. Oh, thanks, Ron. Yeah, Advantage did a really, really good job on that. I can actually show you, because that was lens distortion on that image. At the edges, they had me come down and stand at the front, and it distorted it made me look wider. But in actuality, I did try and correct for the lens distortion where the hat was concerned. This is actually more correct as far as what the hat and everything is supposed to look like. But he was using some funky lens when the guy took that photo. So we got done with that. Well, there's indiegear.com, which has the forum on it. So there's a lot of detail and all that, but there's not really a 501st set of rules. Indie doesn't work that way. The Indiana Jones fandom doesn't work that way, which I'm grateful for. I honestly am. I don't like a lot of gatekeeping with this kind of stuff. So I kind of want to go to DragonCon next year in a really shit indie costume and stand next to Michael the whole time. Oh man. Okay, so I left there, and we ended up going to the Godzilla panel, which was really good. The Godzilla panel was a lot of fun. And then we started to get into the nightlife a little bit. And Drew G, good to see you, sir. Where are you? Well, enjoy Orlando. Be safe out there. And the torch was really working. Like, the torch was getting people's attention, and then a lot of people were smiling and waving, and they got excited when they saw me, even though there were 30 other indies there. And then some of them would walk up to ask for a photograph or get a photo with me or whatever, which is very normal DragonCon. You know, I've been to a lot of DragonCons, and that's not new to me. But it's always good to know that the effort you put into your outfit is successful. So what I found was a disproportionate number of people over the weekend, when they saw the monkey or they saw the idol or the spider or they saw the torch or the cobra, whatever, and then they came up to me after that, like at that point, those were the things that got them there. And then they would literally look and go, man, they would say things like, you did a really good job on your indie outfit. That looks amazing. Like, you really got it all down, you know? And that was very nice to hear. That was very, very nice to hear. So we were walking through one of these skyways at one point, after we were at the Godzilla presentation, and this woman yelled out, "Yay, Indy!" And I recognized her as a friend from high school, and she was like a grade older than me at the time. Her name was Lisa, and I said, "Lisa," and she turned around and she was like, "Oh my God, Michael," you know, and she was with her kids and her husband. And I finally got to meet them in person. And she took a photo of me with her husband, who was dressed as Dave Chappelle doing Prince from Charlie Murphy's Real Hollywood Stories. So let me pull up that image for you, because it's pretty good. Where is it? It is right there. So there's Prince with the pancakes and the basketball net. He did a really, really good job on it. And it was fun to see them. So that was cool. The 501st, they had this thing set up where I thought it was Charlie Murphy. Oh, or are you referring to the fact that it's not Charlie? Okay. I get you on gatekeeping. My mate wanted to do a POTA costume from the original movies. We met a crew in Birmingham, but their rules to join the crew were excessive. Yeah. It can get really old. So the 501st always have a table set up to try and recruit new people to join their costuming group, all that kind of thing. And I would consider modern Transformers, John, to be nice and durable, and they're finally action figures with articulation. Their alt modes, though, are nowhere near as good as the G1s were. So it's always a trade-off. I like them for their durability. I like them for their variety. I don't like them for their plasticky crunch puzzle seam lines when they're vehicles. So this year they had this big force perspective detention block hallway from cell block 1138 as like a thing that you could stand in front of to get your photos. And everybody was getting their photos in front of it, no matter if they were in a Star Wars outfit or not. So Sal and I walked up to it, and he snapped a photo of me by the thing. I was more fascinated, and if you look in the upper right corner of the photo, they had perfectly replicated one of those security sensor things that they were shooting out in the film. And I was fascinated looking at that thing. I was like, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. I think I studied it for like 3 minutes. It was so cool to be around one. And it was a good time overall. Well, Kaz, you can hear my thoughts on that if you watch my 2-parter on Rogue One. I did a 2-parter on Rogue One toys, and you'll hear all my thoughts on that. You'll get the answer to your question and more. So I had a pretty good time, like on Sunday. Like I've no complaints. Yeah, exactly. I gatekeep myself. I compete with myself to make sure that I do the best job I can. But I don't gatekeep other people. So the final bit of the night that was it was one of my favorite interactions was I was standing in the lobby of the Hyatt, and Sal was off doing something, and I was just standing there just watching the costumes go by on at regular intervals. People would stop and ask me if I would pose for a photo, and or so they'd talk to me for a minute, and then I looked over to my left and I saw this amazing costuming couple. And I was like, holy crap. Gates McFadden was there this year with a number of other TNG Star Trek Next Generation cast members. And Dr. Crusher is my favorite character on TNG. So I finally met her, got her autograph on Friday. Well, I looked over on Sunday night in the Hyatt, and there was this couple that was costuming as like mid series or mid to late series Picard and Dr. Crusher, and they killed it. Like I was like, and so I stopped them and I had this great conversation with them, asking them about, have they been doing this outfit for a long time now, and what other costumes do they do, and how long you've been coming to DragonCon. And then I found out they were married, which was even better. Then I joked with them, this is the ending of TNG we all wanted that we didn't get. And so I got my photo with them. They were really amazing. Like they really did a good job. Now, if you're questioning their choice of footwear, it's because you have to be on your feet all day. And they had opted for comfort, which I wore my Indiana Jones correct shoes, which are orthopedic, so I was actually okay. But I understand why they were, because they were going to be walking around outside on the sidewalks and stuff, and so I understand why they made that choice. But I think that was a smart choice, because otherwise, like, they looked amazing. Like I was so thrilled to run into them. I talked there. It was my favorite interaction the whole DragonCon. And yes, I do mean favorite interaction. Like, it was more more memorable and more enjoyable, and just such a wonderful conversation than anything else that happened this year. Like a lot of good stuff happened, you know, Henry Jones handing me a Grail diary, and very nice people, you know, asking me for photos and complimenting my outfit and the quality of my work and all that stuff, running into friends, but meeting these two and talking with them for about 15 minutes was the highlight of my DragonCon 2024. If any of you recognize them, they did give me their information as far as like showing it to me on their phone. They have a Instagram, but I was in my gloves and I had a torch in my hand. I didn't have any way to get to a phone myself, and I hoped that I would remember it. But I didn't, unfortunately, and I tried to look them up on Instagram and I couldn't. So if anybody ends up figuring out their Instagram account, please let me know, because I want to follow them. I really want to follow them. They were really, really cool and really nice. When you say need more videos, Rod, what are you referring to? Because I'm still making videos all the time. Are you the type that only watches the live streams? I need specificity. Specificity is important. So that was kind of the whole wrap up of DragonCon 2024, and what I took away from it was that my years of experience, both doing YouTube and also a lifetime, still an indiegear.com staff member, still writing for the website. What I learned is that, yeah, the off-brand Indiana Joneses and the half-baked Indiana Joneses are still going to be filling conventions all over the place. And what I learned was, but I shouldn't avoid doing my favorite character at a convention anymore, like I did for so many years, because now I've learned that while there is a high bar to hit, the high bar is 2 hurdles. The first hurdle is getting that outfit correct for the movie that you're wanting to depict. That's the first hurdle, and that's not a small one, but that's not going to be enough. Then you have to activate the outfit. You have to, and I'm sure this is true for all face characters that don't wear helmets or masks. You got to activate the outfit with something else that really draws the eye and brings in that specificity and triggers those memories for the people who are passing you or milling around you at the convention. So I'm more confident now than ever that I'm going to do Indiana Jones again in new variants next year. And I've already got the ideas going for how I'm going to do that in ways that a lot of the other indie guys don't do. In fact, none of them this year did. Some of them had a companion with them, like a Sean Connery or a Short Round, and that's great. That helps a lot. Like that is, but if you have to lone wolf it, if you have to lone wolf a face character, like when I did Luke Skywalker, I always had Yoda on my back, always. With Indiana Jones, you have to take it even further. It's like, you got to get that outfit down pat for whatever movie you're doing, and then you've got to activate that outfit in a specific scene. You got to trigger those memories for people. You got to make them feel like they're interacting and participating in what you've created. And with Indiana Jones, it's all the nostalgia. It's all nostalgia. It's all the snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? And don't call me Junior and all that stuff. So it was a good time. It was a really good time. Let's see. I want to do one, Flash. I want to do one. There's no nah about that. I want to do a Danger Girl episode. Hi, Andrew. I'm doing fine, Maki. Thank you. Scuba Pete, thank you for the kind super chat, and good to see you, sir. Thanks for being here. Love a RetroBlasting Live. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Well, that's another thing that's kind of been nice about it is now I will never, the character is now age-proofed through the age of 80. But I'm never going to wear the Dial of Destiny outfit, ever. Because even if you're older, you can still embody the character in a way that the outfit is still well put together and dignified. I'll do Crystal Skull when I get older if people want to come together and do that. Like somebody wants to do Shia LaBeouf and somebody wants to do Marion. I'm not opposed to that. I'm really not. I will not put myself in those shabby Dial of Destiny clothes. I won't do it. I will never do it. Let's see. Hurdle 1. Get your gear correct. Hurdle 2. Absolutely wreck the posers with your correctness. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. Yeah, I can't remember, Keith. Remind me. I don't recall having a bad time last year, but I can't remember what I said about last year. So if you remember anything that I said about various things, remind me. I mean, maybe. Like, I don't know if anyone would really know who I was at that point. So we have one unboxing tonight before we end this stream. We have an unboxing to do. Let me grab this here. Activate that outfit. Cosplay as Captain America holding Thor's hammer. Yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Something like that, or and see, Captain America, you're kind of walking a line with it because he does have a helmet. He's just not completely covering his face. You know, he's kind of like Batman in that way. With Superman, for example, if you've got the physique of Superman and you're filling out that outfit, you're probably okay because very few people can pull that off. But if you wanted to take it to the next level with Superman with that outfit, like it would be something like, you know, have something that looks like it, you know, like a foam sculpture, but you've painted it right to look like a really heavy, like piece of concrete with rebar, you know, coming out of it, and you hold it for photos or something like that. Like that would be really, really cool. Then I'm not a true fan, Keith. And if that's what it takes to be a true fan, I'd rather have my dignity then than be a true fan. That's a good point. I could do that. I don't really know. That would almost be something you'd want to do at a Christmas event where you might get recognized more quickly. No, I've never done that. The last thing I want to do is rent a saxophone. Although that would be kind of fun if you could get a saxophone and a rocking chair. Of course, it'd be the summertime in a really packed hotel, and you'd be wearing a scarf, and you'd have to grow this huge beard. I don't know. Pass. Okay, so well, see, that's another great example, Bushman. Like you just came up with another example. That would be funny too, to like have something set up where it looks like he's in the Fortress of Solitude talking to Marlon Brando. Like that would activate too. Yeah. Or you get yourself a cardboard mock-up of a junk car and you just keep beating the crap out of the junk car. Like you get someone else to be Ryu or Chun-Li on the other side, and you both pose in photos destroying the cardboard car. Okay, so I've got a box here that I'm supposed to open on camera. And it is from a RetroBlasting supporter, Jasmine. And I don't know what's in it. And I'm told that I have to open it live. What is this? What in the... Dear RetroBlasting, I apologize that I have failed in the last several years to procure Funko Pops and tubs for you like I said I would. However, I recently heard a rumor that someone was making custom Funko Pop accessories specifically designed to seamlessly transition to your tubs figurines. But since the person making them is in Europe, I contacted our mutual friend Jody to obtain these awesome items for me. I was so excited when he sent the enclosed box that I did not even open it. I hurried up and sent it to you. I hope you like this. Special thanks to Jody for gallantly coming to my rescue, aka Zantara. Now, before I open whatever this is, could be serious, could be a prank. I absolutely adore Zantara. I love the fact that she's been part of this toy and pop culture community for so long. So whatever happens when I open this box, even if it's shenanigans, Zantara, you will still have a friend in me. I might be sarcastic for a few minutes, but I promise you it's nothing terminal. Okay, here we go. I mean, she sent it in a Thundercats box. Okay, what is this? Dear Jasmine, I'm sorry. I really could not bring myself to go through with your plans to acquire and send Michael any Funko Pops or Tubs garbage. I used your funds to get Michael some other 80s inspired property. Hope you'll agree with this change of heart. What is... Okay, so there's a Thundercats box in a Thundercats box. There's a postcard in here for Dark Dimensions. Okay. So now we're down to this box. What? Okay, so first I'm seeing this is a Galaxy Rangers. This is a Galaxy Rangers pin. Everything Galaxy Rangers is really hard to find. So I don't know where this was acquired from, but that's going to go in the display case right after this. This used to be some kind of pin. Okay, and then holy, what is this? Is this a robe for a Galaxy Rangers figure? Oh my gosh, they are. These are the robes. These are the robes for the Galaxy Rangers villains. That I have the villains, but I don't have the robes. And now I have the robes. Well, Zantara, Jody, I'm blown away by this, I will take a photo of these and post it on the Instagram right after this. I am seeing some confusion between Zantara and Jody, and that may be for them to work out, assuming it's not a ruse of some kind. But this particular one, this looks original, and if it's not, it's a very, very good replica. I really hope this is an act, because if it's not, if this is not an act, then I tell you something, Jody, you've gone rogue on Zantara, and you've made an enemy of her, and that is not wise, sir. Like, I'll put it to you this way: if this isn't part of the game, if this isn't part of the act, and you rope-a-doped what she wanted to do, whatever happens to you, Jody, she deserves to do it. Okay, and then I have this one. So this goes to the evil queen, and this goes to the alien bounty hunter guy. So now they're complete, which is amazing. And then this, so this is all of this is going to really make the display like come together. I'm blown away by that. So Jody, Zantara, Jody, thank you for this. I hope that both of you come out of the argument alive after it's over. But just know that this is incredible. I never thought I would find these. I'm truly blown away. I'm actually just surprised, Zantara. I didn't know you were such a Tubbs fan. Hey, you know what though? If there's a way to redeem this, you just let me know, Zantara. I had nothing to do with the outcome, but I mean, this is awesome, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is amazing. God was looking after Michael. He probably was Cute Fluff, because Sean Connery gave me a Bible at DragonCon, so he probably was. Well, with that, I will end this stream at an hour 45, right? A few minutes shy of 9 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here. And Sal, thank you for the super chat, sir. Thank you so much. He says, a wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. I, on the other hand, am very late. Well, you didn't have to send that super chat, but I thank you for doing so. And you know, you were there at DragonCon with the rest of us, so you saw it all. Let's see. I am not sure what's going on here. I hope this is an act. I really hope it's part of the festivities here. Oh, please don't let Jody have done something with Zantara's money that she... Oh, the only thing I can say is I'm so glad it's not my fault. Keith, thank you for the kind super chat, sir. Thanks for being here. All right. Well, in that case, I am going to sign out here and let you guys get back to your evening. New video is coming for Patreon. It'll be here tomorrow. I'm going to give you a hint real quick. Last thing before I go, I'm going to give you a hint of tomorrow's Unplugged video, because it's been in the news. All right. So here's what I'm going to be talking about in the video that'll be coming to Patreon tomorrow. It'll be on YouTube on Saturday. All right. Night, everybody.